Hi everybody, Aaron Blaise here, and welcome to another episode of Aaron's Art Tips. Okay, so today what I want to talk to you about is values in your drawings. Values meaning light and dark. When we use that term value, it means how light something is or how dark something is. Now, I have a lot of people asking me, how do I light my paintings or my drawings or my characters and that sort of thing. So I thought today what I would do is go through kind of a short tutorial on how I think about the value structure in my drawings. But before I do that, I want to first of all just say thank you so much for Photoshop and the Kelby training people for having me up in Atlanta this week. I was training, doing a few classes in some of my methods in doing Photoshop, such as some of my creature design, how I paint water, that sort of thing. It went really well. And I also want to say hi and thanks again to all my friends over at Wacom. I did a demonstration over at their booth out on the trade floor, and we really had a great time. And if any of you guys aren't familiar, I do all of my work, all of my digital painting, that sort of thing, everything. My animation also, I do it all in my Cintiq, made by Wacom. I have a big 24 HD, and it's really great. I really recommend it. Go check them out. Go to their website. It's wacom.com. That's WACOM.com. And also go ahead and check out my website because I've got some new stuff up there, and we're slowly building it even more. Even if you just want to check out my gallery, some of my artwork, that sort of thing, my website is creatureartteacher.com. It's the art of Aaron Blaise, and it's creatureartteacher.com. Okay, so let's get into this. Now, the first thing I want to talk about is just the value structure, the way I think about creating my lights and my darks. And you'll see here that I've got three squares, and they each have a different value, a different darkness or lightness in them. The first being light, the second being a mid-tone, the third being dark. Now, if you'll notice real quick, I'm going to tap this. When I touch, I'm going to go ahead and grab my color wheel. I'm going to touch this color right here. You notice how I haven't really picked like the brightest light. Like I'll touch that again. See, it's almost white, but not quite. My mid-tone is right in the middle, and my dark is almost black, but not quite. The reason for that, and I'll show you later, is because I like to save those extreme lights and those extreme darks as little accents in my value structure. But these three values, these three that you see here, this light, middle, and dark, these are the three that I start with. Okay? So the first thing I want to do, let's go ahead and take this, and I'm going to shrink this down, make some room. So let's just shrink this down here. I'm going to put these up at the top of the frame like so. Now I've prepared a few drawings just to show you how I might approach different simple situations with value. So the first thing being, this is for beginners and people out there that are trying to figure this out. Let me show you the first thing. Let's just say we have a cube. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and move this over here a little. Whoops, I got to put it on the right one. There we go. I'm going to move this cube over. I'm going to make it a little larger too. Okay, let me blow that up a little bit. There, now you can see it. Now let's say we have this cube, and I want to light it. Well, the first thing, I'm going to imagine a light source coming down. Let me put another layer on top here. I'm going to imagine a light source coming down from, let's say, this direction right here, and and off to the side there, like so. So the first thing I want to do is I'm thinking, okay, the most direct light, the surface that's going to be getting the most light is going to be this top surface, right? So let's go ahead and grab this color. We'll hit OK, and I'm gonna, there it is. I'm just gonna copy that just in case I have a little bit of a mess up. But I'm gonna go in here with my bucket and I'm going to fill that top. There you go. You see that? Now my mid-tone. The next darkest is probably going to be here. Might be catching a little bit of light, but it's going to be in somewhat of some shade, that sort of thing. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to fill that in, just like so. Now my darkest, the plane that is opposite the light, that's going to be this side here. So let's go ahead and grab that color. Let's go ahead and fill it. And already, just by using 3 values, you can get a sense of light and dark, shadow, that sort of thing. And let's take it a step further. I'm going to go ahead and let's drop that down just a hair. Whoops. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and drop that down a hair. Let's turn that off. There we go. I'm going to put a layer underneath. Grab a paintbrush. Grab my paintbrush. There we go. And just coming opposite off of that light source. Oops. It's a little curvy there. Put in a shadow. Now the reason I'm not making it quite as dark as this dark background here is because it'll catch a little bit more like ambient light being bounced around. Okay? But I'm going to go ahead and fill it in like so anyway. There we go. And bring that all the way up. Grab some of that color and let's just fix that. There we go. So it's kind of somewhere in between that mid-tone and that dark. And look at that. Now we got a really good sense of light happening just by using these 3 tones and something a little bit in between this tone and this tone. So there we've got the very simple, just lighting 3 different planes, and you can get a good sense of light. Well, let's take it to the next step. How would we handle the same thing using 3 values, but doing it on a rounded surface? So let me turn these off. I'm going to turn this on. So here we've got this ellipse. I'm going to go ahead and once again copy that. I'm going to turn this off. And I'm going to fill, let's just take it, let's start with the mid-tone, because we want to go lighter and we want to go darker. Okay, so I'm going to take that mid-tone, I'm going to grab my bucket tool, and I'm going to go ahead and fill that. Okay, now in order to keep ourselves from jumping outside the line, I'm going to grab my select, my color range, I'm going to touch that right there, and you can see that it's grabbing that color, and I'll hit OK, and you'll see a nice circle going around. So now what I want to do is I'm going to grab my light, and I'm going to, let's see, I'm going to grab this brush that I like to use here, and I'm going to put the sensitivity up and knock the opacity way down so I can be very, very subtle with it. And you'll see, once again, I'm just starting with this light value, and I'm going to imagine the light kind of coming over my left shoulder. So let me turn that off. Let me start that over again. Oh, and let me tell you what, I'm going to fill that out, turn that off. Let's create another layer because I kind of messed that up. And I'm going to go ahead and grab that color, fill it again. There we go. Now I'm back on track. Okay, so I've got a layer on top. I'm going to grab this light tone, go to my paintbrush. I'm at the right percentage, and I'm just going to go ahead and start imagining like it's an egg almost, right? This is the brightest bright. This is getting hit, and so everything coming off of that, I'm going to go even bigger with the brush, is going to get, it's going to fade out like so. See that? Just like so. Let me grab my eraser, make that really big. I'm just going to make that a little bit more subtle. There we go. Looks like so. Come back in. There we go. There. So there's my light area. So now let's go to and grab my dark. And this back side, I'm going to put this in the shadow. Once again, remember, I'm only using 3 values. And that's the thing. Some people will get too caught up into too many values, and their images will get very, very complex and very busy, and they'll get very, very hard to look at. But look at here. Look at there. If I turn the select off, I've got a nice rounded image there. I've got my cat jumping in the way. Say hello. Hello. I'm going to put her down. Now remember I was talking about some of the saving my brightest brights and my darkest darks. So I'm going to go ahead and let's grab our light color. Well, let's go ahead and make that white. And remember, you want to save it just for the little parts to sing. And right on top, right in this little area, I want a nice little hot spot. Look at that. There, got a little shine on it. Now I'm going to create a layer underneath. There we go. I'm going to go ahead and grab our mid-tone. Make the brush big. There we go. And watch. I'm going to draw behind. Now we got a shadow using that mid-tone. But I know that coming in closer, this is getting a lot of bounced light from outside. Light spills into the shadow, but as we get closer and closer to our object, less and less light. So as we get into some of these dark areas underneath, I want to use our darkest dark. I'm going to knock that opacity down again, and watch what I do. I'm going to darken. There we go. And we got a shadow. Once again, just using these three values and then my little bright highlight, I've been able to create I've created something that's flat and made it 3D, okay? So now how do we take these two ideas, the rounded edges where we have the soft gradation, and then the last one I just showed you with the cube, how do we take that into practical use? Let's say like a face. And so here's a little cartoon character that I drew, this little kid. And let's go ahead, and I'm going to take that mid-tone, and I'm going to go ahead and create a layer underneath. And I'm going to paint him in Lux. Let me bring that value all the way up. I want to start in the mid-tone range, okay? And let's just color him in real quickly. Because we're going to paint with light. Okay, we're going to start right in the middle. We got his local color, his basic tone is going to be this mid-range. Okay, so now let's grab that light color. I'm going to put a layer on top. And watch what I do. I'm going to knock that opacity down. Okay, put the pressure sensitivity on. And I'm going to very slowly start to paint in where I think some of the lights will go. So the underside of that, excuse me, the underside of that nose will be in shadow. The top part of the cheek, right in here, well, that's going to be lit, coming up to the nose, coming down. Do the same thing over here. And then it's going to go into shadow as we come off here. Now the jaw, I think, will be casting a shadow. So this will be in light, but then the rest of the neck will be in shadow. And then we'll go into some light over here. And I won't press it as hard because maybe that the shirt's a different color. Let's go into the white of the eye. We'll lighten that up. Now the nose is going to cast a shadow, like so. Look how all these areas that are directly in light, I'm going to make those the brightest. And then as it turns away from the light, I'm going to let it darken a little bit. This is going to be in direct sunlight, so let's his forehead, let's push that a little brighter. Maybe part of his eyelids here are going to catch a little bit of light. The tops of his eyes, the tops of the bottoms of his eyelids are going to catch a little bit of light. And even let's hit like this part of his chin, getting a little bit of light, like so. Like so, there we go. All this in nice bright light. And then I'm going to go ahead and hit this top part of his lip. See, I'm just painting with that single value, just that one value. And look how much, just with two values, look what we've been able to do. We've been able to give him a good sense of shape and form. Let's get in here into the ears. That's going to catch some light, and then it goes in the dark. The top part of the ear, well, that'll catch light, right? Along the bottom of the ear here. Look at that. We're already getting some form, and all we're using is two values. Let's get into, oh, I know what I want to do. Let's put some highlights. Let's knock the value of that up a little bit. Let's put some highlights in his hair. So that's going to create a little bit of texture. I'll start feeling more like hair. Good. Now let's go ahead and grab our dark. I'm going to go ahead and hit some of these dark areas. That'll go into deep shadow. That's casting a shadow there along his ears. Obviously we want his pupils dark. Okay. Maybe there's a little bit of a shadow being cast by his eyelid down over his eye there. Now underneath, make this a little dark underneath, going into the nostril. Might be a little darker there along the edge of the nose. And we definitely want to get it a little darker coming off the nose there and let it fade out. Sort of like what we did with that egg, where the shadow, as the shadow got closer and closer to the egg, the less and less light was able to get in there, and so the shadow got darker. Same thing here when you're looking at the nose. Let's create a little shadow there. And once again, a little bit darker coming off of the neck here. All right. And then we'll have a little bit of dark on his hair. Definitely some dark back here, because that's in shadow. That's the opposite side of where the hair, or where the light is coming from. Now once again, all we're using is three values, and we're able to create some modeling on this face. Now remember I told you, we grabbed that light and then we just want to just accent it with some little highlights. Well, we can do that here too. Watch, I'm going to just create another layer on top here. There we go. Now watch, I can create just a little spot there. Just being very tasteful with it. A little bit off of his nose, like so. Maybe all along the ridge of his nose there. And then also, this might get a little brighter in there. Just a touch. See what I'm doing? Now watch this. We want to get a little shine on his eye. Whoops, I want to do this on top of the drawing. There we go. And we can go that way. Just get a little light reflection working off of his eye. Maybe even the bottom of that eye, right down in here, it'll catch a little bit of light because it's wet. You know, our eyes are wet, and the bottoms of them will catch some light sometimes. So, and then maybe, over here, we'll catch a little bit of light there. Just being very tasteful with the extreme lights. And you're going to do the same thing with your extreme dark. So here I've gone here. I'm going to go into the black range. And I'm just going to very tastefully just hit a couple of darks in here. In his ear it's going to go dark. But what it does is it broadens. I'm going to hit it up here a little bit. It broadens your value range Get it in here. And adds a little bit more interest. There, get into that nostril. And look there, we've got a nice, kind of nice first pass on modeling a character. Now let me go ahead, I'm going to create a background layer. And let's go ahead and grab, let's go maybe a little, somewhere in between our mid-tone and our dark. And I'm going to grab this nice big textured brush that I have. And what's nice is you can see how it kind of stands out now. All just off of being very simple with my value structure. Erase here. Being very, very simple with my value structure, I was able to create this character very, very quickly. This only took a few minutes. So once again, go out there and when you attack your drawings and you want to add value to them, you want to add volume and lighting, think about it, approach it in 3 values first. Think about light, mid-tone, and dark. And work with those first. And then when you want to hit your real darks or your real lights, you can hit those as accents. Now there's always exceptions. You might have something that's backlit, so everything's mainly dark with little accents of light. Go ahead and go out there and experiment with these different lighting situations, but always think about it with 3 values first. Maybe the dark is dominant, maybe the light is dominant, maybe even the middle is dominant. But think about those 3 values and then work within that range and then hit your accents, okay? I guarantee you that your lighting and the modeling of your characters will take a leap forward. So until next time, I hope you learned something and I'll talk to you soon. Thanks. Bye.